uh, to do more sessions. I believe art, in all its forms is very powerful, especially when we are talking about really difficult topics like sexual violence, gender-based violence, or any other form of inequality. And hopefully, Alia and Grace, and we can brainstorm some ideas for next year. But thank you. Thank you for putting in the effort. And today we are going to announce the winners of the challenge. So I'm very excited. So people might still come in, but in the meantime, we need to move on. So today we have with us Mr. Peter Truswell, who is the Consul General of the Consulate General of Australia in Mumbai. And they have been very supportive partners for this entire design challenge, along with our QUT team, Kavita Gonsalves, Michael Hunter, Professor Marcus Forth, Associate Professor Glenda Colwell, Associate Professor Jackie Colley, and Associate Professor Verena Thomas. We also had Ritu David, who was part of it, Pratima Manohar, and of course, Supreet from our team did a wonderful session on storytelling. So it's been a group effort, a team effort, and it just goes to show that, you need to collaborate to make some change happen. So Mr. Peter Truswell is a career officer with the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, and was most recently Deputy Head of Mission, Australian Embassy, Kabul. I would love to hear more about your experience over a coffee on your stint in Afghanistan. He has previously served overseas in Seoul and the Australian Permanent Mission, United Nations, Geneva. In Canberra, he has served in recent director roles in DFAT, with a focus on South Asia and consular operations, and previously served in the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet. Mr. Truswell holds a Bachelor of Laws Honours and a Bachelor of Arts Honours from the University of Sydney, a graduate diploma in Foreign Affairs and Trade from Monash University, and a graduate diploma in legal practice from the College of Law, New South Wales. Welcome, Peter, and please share with us some wise words on International Human Rights Day and the end of the 16 days and the end of our challenge. Are you safe?
Thank you very much, Elsa, and thank you for your warm welcome. Thank you for your comprehensive description of my career. Yes, indeed, I was in Kabul most recently, and that was a different experience, I suppose, to being here in Mumbai. Particularly from the role of women and girls and gender, it was, I suppose, not an entirely positive one, because when I was there with the former Afghan government, there was a great deal of emphasis, and also among the international community, on promoting the role of women in important positions, and there was a lot of very active, highly talented women in senior positions across the Afghan government and academic institutions and so forth. But I think that has fallen back quite a lot with the new government, and let's just hope that in the future some of those talented people can get back into those sorts of positions. Yeah, look, it's a pleasure, a great pleasure for the Australian Consulate General in Mumbai to co-host this design challenge. As you mentioned, it's very timely to be doing this event on today on the last day, and which is also Human Rights Day. And that's important, I think, because we need to contextualize efforts to end gender-based violence as part of a broader conversation about human rights. We're talking at a time where we're after a long period of dealing with COVID, and I think COVID has thrown up some unique and different challenges that we hadn't faced so much before. It's pretty clear that the pandemic has disproportionately impacted women and girls. And there is reporting and there is evidence, it seems, that gender-based violence has intensified globally since the outbreak of COVID. In terms of the Australian government, ending violence against women and girls is a high priority for us, both domestically and internationally. And I think, you know, if you look, for example, at the social media of our Foreign Minister, Marise Payne, who's also the Minister for Women, you can see quite a few speeches and other material that she's posted on Twitter and elsewhere that shows how, for her personally, this is a major and important priority. So we have, in terms of what I mentioned before, COVID, we have responded to the urgent need to respond to the escalation of gender-based violence during COVID, the COVID crisis, through our development and humanitarian programs. And that has been, as I mentioned, a high priority aspect of the way we design those programs. So, you know, ending or tackling gender-based violence is obviously an extremely complicated task, and it requires us to work together with all members of our society to transform gendered social norms, attitudes, and behaviours. And I think, as Elsa and I were talking about a little bit before this meeting, this conversation started, you know, it's about every individual seeing it as their personal responsibility to call things out, you know, not to let things go because you're in a group and, you know, it seems it'll be perceived badly, but to call things out when you're aware of them. Look, I think this challenge, this collaboration across countries, across disciplines, and so on, has been fantastic and very successful. I'm looking forward to the prizes, the presentations, and hearing more from the rest of you. You know, it's clear that you've developed some highly innovative solutions, which place youth at the forefront of championing this cause. So look, I might leave it there because there's a full program today, but thanks so much for the chance to speak to you, and I'll pass back to you, Elsa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. And when we started this design challenge, the conversation with Alia, Grace, and Kavita and Michael, we really wanted to focus on bystander intervention, because often when we talk about sexual violence and awareness and harassment prevention, we are always talking about the victim and the survivor and putting the onus on that person. I just want to share a quote from Marise Payne. She says, turning a blind eye to all human rights violations means an acceptance of behavior that undermines the foundations of international peace and stability. And where there is no challenge, there is no progress. And I think it's very apt for us, because what we are trying to do is look at ourselves and also say, are we bystanders who turn the other way, and can we change that? And our teams have really come up with great reels, and we chose reels as the outcome of the challenge because that's what the young people nowadays like watching on their phones. So 30-second to 45-second reels, and you know, we wonder like how they're going to do it. At the start, I was like wondering what kind of solutions will come up, but I've been totally amazed with it. So I'm going to now invite Associate Professor Jackie Colley, who's a dear friend of mine, and I'm so glad we had a chance to, to collaborate on this challenge as well. Peter, for your information, Jackie and I are Rotary Peace Fellows, and since 2016, we've been trying to find a way to work together, and this challenge is especially special to me because we managed to do that. So thank you, Jackie, for a wonderful session the other day. And over to you now to announce the third place winners.
Thank you very much, Elsa, and thank you for kind words as well. Yeah, it's always wonderful to work with Elsa. when we went for the Rotary Peace Fellow, Elsa was a force to be reckoned with. We could hardly keep up with her and on what she was doing. But every one of us know Elsa, and that is signature of her. The third place winner that we all came together and talked about, and the third place winner goes to Team Braveheart. And as I understand it, Team Braveheart is an individual. I think, Elsa, am I correct? Yes. So they were all meant to go as teams, but Team Braveheart came out as an individual. But such strength. And before I comment a little bit, a minute or two about Team Braveheart's work, I just wanted to say well done to the team. And I think that to talk about bystander, to talk about GBV, to talk about gender-based violence, sexual violence to a young cohort and a young group, and having to nurture that information and then design a challenge that reflects that information and embed that within the creative works that they have done is phenomenal. So well done to you, Elsa, well done to the QUT team and all of those that were involved with it. And I really love the way that they brought about these, the reels that they showed in the end. So just a little bit of a comment on Team Braveheart. What I loved about Team Braveheart was the innovation and stories and the visuals that went with it, and how that was being captured. One of the components within that was Twiki, the puppet, I think, and it was a great way to use the character of the puppet as a safety mechanism, perhaps if you did not want to put the individual up there to talk about it. And they talked about, the character talked about the parents and safety, and how then does that limit a girl's possibilities of moving out towards that. The other one that they talked about was positioning herself within that, and talked about the different spaces that were unsafe. And I found that really great. And that visual communication and the stories that went with that. Perhaps to Team Braveheart, as a way to strengthen that component, is then to think more about the brief, which is the bystander. And then how then do we think about the bystander coming in into that space and motivating others to think about how then can we best address this, this component around stepping up and talking out about it. So well done, Braveheart, and thank you, Team Braveheart, and thank you very much, Elsa, for the opportunity to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to invite Sonali to share the videos with us.
Walking with friends is so beautiful, but walking alone is when the real horror story strikes you. Walking alone is like walking in an empty room full of horror stories and haunted ghosts. Walking alone is getting scared by groups of people, probably a lot of them, washrooms, all of them, shadows, and sometimes shadows of yourself. Even the prettiest places, empty cafes, stores, crowded rooms, parking lots, changing rooms, and even windows. Balconies, empty lanes, chairs, parks, and every board, construction sites, and the scariest, the clock. I wish I was a flamingo. The world that we have painted says 52% of Indian urban women feel unsafe, and it's time to rewrite. Hi, I'm Twiki. Welcome to my life. I love painting, baking, and sleeping. But more than all of this, I love the sky. And I want to be an astronaut. So much that I've drawn one at my home on every wall. But mom says I should stop, and it's unsafe for girls. And this makes me cry. I wish the world was safer, and I wish I could have gone out to study. And now I have to stay home and say bye. If not me, I wish someone someday does what I want. This was my story. Bye.
Ria, are you there? Would you like to say a few words, and congratulations?
Thank you so much, first of all. So this is my second challenge with Red Dot, and it's been a roller coaster ride, honestly. So I remember that I was not well, and we didn't have a lot of participants in our team, and we had to shoot the video. And that's when the random idea clicked to me, and I'm so glad that it made a place for it. Thank you so much. You all have been so kind to entertain all the queries, the last moment hustle. Thank you.
Thanks, Ria. And, I really, really appreciate, because I know you were ill and yet you submitted your videos, and yeah, they were great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm now going to invite Professor Marcus Forth to announce the second prize.
Thank you, Elsa, and thank you everyone who's made the design challenge possible. Elsa and your team, Kavita, Michael over here at QUT, everyone else who's been contributing. Every submission has been really, really amazing and inspiring. And so it's been a very tough job for myself and the other jury members to come up with a decision on who to select. I got the great honor here of revealing the second place, and that is Team Murphy. Now, we're going to have a look at their videos in a second, but let me just quickly summarize some of the reflections on their contribution. I think what stood out for me is really how it wasn't just 4 videos, but there's actually a story that goes across those four videos. So it was really also about doing a lot of thinking and conceptualization about an intervention. And that is the They Can and They Will award, which is a social incentive for bystanders to interrupt and intervene when they come across sexual harassment or similar kinds of incidences in public space. And so we really appreciated how then the videos were informing that overall concept and looked at, in the first video, for instance, sensitizing the audience and educating them about bystander intervention. The second video contains a bit of storytelling, and in this case, inspires those through a different, much more emotional, qualitative way of considering bystander intervention. And then we have further informational material in the third video, for instance, about why it's useful and actually very much okay to interrupt when those scenarios and situations unfold, rather than try and be polite or shy and ignore those situations. And finally, the fourth video, I really like, probably the best of all 4 of them. The last one is a little bit like Love, actually. If anyone knows that movie with that famous scene of those posters that are being displayed. And so you'll see it hopefully in a second when we share those videos. I hope we can show all 4 of them, because they are quite amazing for what you guys have been able to achieve. So the jury members were definitely impressed by your work. It's been very impactful. The storytelling has been amazing. It was great to have very powerful words in there around the intrusion and the interruption that is required in order to tackle these issues. So very powerful, creative ways of storytelling. Well done.
Thank you, Marcus, for summarizing all the key points and sharing your insights. And now I'd like to invite Sonali to show those 4 videos.
Sorry, just one moment.
Brutal gang rape case in the capital finally recorded her statement in front of the sub-divisional magistrate late Friday night. The victim
104 phone calls were made between victim's brother and the main accused Sandeep between October 2019 and March 2020. This shifting narrative has only increased fears among the victims.
A lot of people think that bystander intervention is extremely dangerous for both the victim and the bystander as it can lead to a violent situation. This isn't true. To back it up, we have a story. A young couple once walked into a bus a few years ago in Malaysia, only to notice a young girl looking extremely uncomfortable. They then approached her and pretended to know her and asked if she wanted to join them. She eagerly nodded and joined them. When asked if she was okay, she admitted that the man sitting next to her had molested her and she froze up. They immediately called the conductor and he threw the man out of the bus. Legal action was taken later. Of course, this didn't save the girl from the horrors she went through, but it did make her feel safer. It did help the situation. So next time you see something, say something. Interrupt, intrude, help, make your city safer.
Do more with your music. Do more with Premium.
Oh man, I wonder what's going on there. He looks really uncomfortable. I should go and say something, but I'm not even sure what I can do. What am I thinking? I don't need a cape and tights to stop this. Hey man, haven't seen you for a long time. Do you want to go for a coffee?
Thanks, Sonali. I'd like to invite Kushagra to. Kushagra, are you the team leader or is it Tanisha? So one of you can come up. Yeah, please.
So yeah, it was a great fun experience to learn about design because we all are advertising students, and given that we have our exams in 3 days, it was a really pressing moment for us to comprehend all of these and go forward. So, but it was fun.
Thanks, Kushagra, and especially since you had your exams and you still delivered 4 great videos. Congratulations. The only sad part about having these virtual events is you can't hear the claps, but maybe at the end we will do a round of claps. And now for our final winner, but before we go to the final winner, I do want to say that everybody is really a winner, all the teams that submitted their videos. And this is only the start, right? We still have Kala Ghoda in February, in the first week, and Supreet is working really hard to have an in-person event with them. And she has offered next week to work with all of you to touch up your videos, really polish it up, because Kala Ghoda is a real opportunity to showcase your work in front of thousands of people. The footfall at Kala Ghoda is immense. It is Mumbai's premier cultural art festival. So we will showcase all the videos there. And so please don't feel like you didn't make the top 3 because you still have Kala Ghoda. And all these skills that you've learned during the design challenge will carry with you forward in whatever you choose to do, whether it's educational or career-wise. So I would encourage you to, work with Supreet and send in your videos, your final videos after that as well. So now without further ado, I'm going to invite Mr. Peter Truswell to announce the final winners.
Thank you very much, Elsa. Thanks, Michael. Thanks for all the other participants. And look, I haven't been closely involved in this process, my staff have, but those videos that I just saw were really of a high quality and highlighting in a real and meaningful and accessible way some of the things that you're trying to do. So look, we probably need a drum roll now because this is the Oscar moment, isn't it? But so as you said, Elsa, you know, there's no absolute winner here. Everyone's a winner. You know, a lot of great work's being done, and all the videos are fantastic. But unfortunately, there has to always be one winner. So just to let you know, the first prize team winner is Team Wings, and that consists of Swanpil Purohit, Saloni Gupta, and Kajal Antil. So round of applause virtually for them. They, as I know, applied individually to this challenge. They're from different cities in India and from diverse fields. Swanpil is a student of urban and regional planning. Saloni is pursuing a BBA in branding, and Kajal is studying urban planning. And they were put into a team by the Red Dot Foundation team, and they succeeded by working together to create this winning video. What I might do is then pass back to you, Elsa, or Michael, or Jackie, or someone else from the jury to talk a little bit about the content. But look, congratulations to Team Wings.
Thank you, Peter. And yes, I realize that you weren't part of the jury process, so you have no, specific insights. But what I loved about this team was that, you can still co-create in the virtual world with strangers in a very short period of time. And that says something. And that gives us hope, because we are living in this strange world where, our lives have been disrupted. And maybe this is the way it's going to be. So the faster we get used to it and comfortable with it and know that you can still co-create over the internet is something to look forward to. And I'm just going to let the videos do the talking because I really love them. So Sonali, over to you.
It's a cultural thing.
I'm afraid I'll make things worse.
It's not my problem. It's harmless, right?
I can't make a difference. Nobody else is doing anything. The first step to being helpful is paying attention to what's going on around you. If it's hard to tell what's happening, focus on the person targeted.
Thank you. I really love that y'all paid attention during all the master classes and y'all used all the ideas that were put forward. So thank you so much. And now I'm going to invite Swapnil to say a few words.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much, ma'am. We all are so happy, and definitely all the classes and every workshop and how we connected each other. It really helped us a lot, and in very short span of time during the all four classes, we got to know each other like Sanoli and Kajal. So it's been very hectic throughout the process, but but somehow we managed. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank
Thanks,
you for your
Swapnil.
guidance. Keep checking on us. Thank you, Sonali. Keep sending links. There's a discussion about everything and all. Thank you so much. And definitely, there's a great efforts by all team members, by Sonali and Kajal as well. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much to all the teams for submitting your entries, and thank you to the winning teams. Once again, everyone, if you can unmute yourselves and then just clap for everyone, that'll be great. Okay, so now I hand over to my colleague Kavita. It was really wonderful collaborating with you, Kavita. Again, another thing that we've been discussing for years, and this has finally happened. So over to you.
Thanks a lot, Elsa. I also want to thank Mr. Peter Trustwell, Professor Marcus Forth, and Associate Professor Jackie Cowley for announcing all the winners. We're just going to really quickly discuss the challenge right now, and I'm going to invite the jury members to just share their views on the experience of the challenge and potentially what's next. To start off with, I first invite Professor Marcus Forth.
Thanks, Kavita. Look, I think it's fascinating what people were able to achieve in such a short period of time, and sometimes with little resources, with other pressures in life, whether they might be, COVID related or just individual pressures such as the exam period coming up. So it's been amazing from that point of view. What I think I'd probably want to comment on is how we also need to remember that as we are working on such interventions, we need to understand where the need comes from, where the underlying causes are, and how we can also escalate and amplify the voices towards other processes such as policy, such as government, such as regulation. All too often, and I kind of compare this with the climate change and sustainability context, the finger gets pointed at individuals for making decisions. And I think it's convenient cop-out for industry and government to then want design interventions to be focusing on behavior change at that level. Now, whilst that is useful, it does take a lot of burden from much larger frameworks of power and much larger frameworks of regulation and policy making. And so I think what we also need to perhaps explore is how we can amplify the voices to make these matters come to the ears of decision makers, because they have far more powerful instruments at their disposal to change things for the better. And so whilst in both in Australia as well as in India, we are still dealing with vested interests, with corporate interests, with those that want to keep it the way it is, we will still continue to be very limited in some of these design interventions. And so I think what we might want to explore in the future is also how the design interventions could try and amplify these voices so that they are heard by those that are often not exposed to the kinds of difficulties that people are facing on an everyday basis. So that would be kind of my feedback with regards to what might be next steps for this kind of work.
Thanks a lot, Marcus. I completely agree. With very little time, the teams were able to put together, their reels, their design interventions, the videos, and also I think the teams also showed what is the power of one individual and also what is possible with a collective. And I completely agree that these interventions have to attract policymakers and people in positions of power. Thank you so much for that. I now ask Associate Professor Jackie to share a few words with us.
Thank you, Kavita. Thank you, Marcus, for that as well. So absolutely, policies need to change, and that interventions like this need to start facilitating those changes. I think for me, the whole process, it always amazes me what people are capable of. And for me, this particular one, I was inspired by the group and what is possible that we can do. And always in the back of my head, I always think, what can this and how can we get this and adapt it somewhere else, particularly in Papua New Guinea, where I'm from, also with these issues prevalent. And I love the way in which that came about. But I do want to congratulate everybody, because the thinking and the pedagogy around the workshops, in terms of scaffolding the learning and integrating that into the work and then bringing out that creative innovation is superb. And I love that. And I think that that whole entire process of developing content is brilliant. And I have nothing but, admiration for the whole process. So thank you very much, Kavita, Elsa, and your team. Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to say that this was completely group effort to pull this together, and full props to the RDF team. They were so on the ball. They were like checking our Discord channel, sending messages out to students, even calling them up and using WhatsApp, because WhatsApp is super popular in India. So, the bulk of the work is, the RDF team members, Vaibhavi, Sonali, Saloni, Supreet, Sheila, and I'm sorry if I leave out anyone else's name, but yeah, I have to say, like, all the team members who really were, and that, that's again going back to the power of the collective to make the challenge, to solve a problem. So thank you so much, Jackie, for that.
Sure. I was just saying to Verena, we need to get our teams to be mentored also. So please feel free to invite out. We were talking about different projects and how they really need to know how to manage in a short period of time. So well done.
Thank you. I now invite Associate Professor Verena to share a few words with us. Yeah.
That was that just flows onto our conversation that Jackie and I had. But thank you so much, first of all, for having me part of this and for inviting me to come on to the jury. It's a huge honor to be able to work with you all and to be part of witnessing this process. We were just so impressed by the organization of it and how you're able to achieve results in a very short period of time. And so, I'd like to see how this can move forward in terms of, we talk about movements, we talked about collectives, and how participants themselves can, move this forward as a collective perhaps. So that would be really good to see. And I just love the creativity of it and the innovation, and parts of it was, I think, also in the framing it as a bystander. And I apologize, I have like some cream in my face, so my eyes are like really red, sorry. But to frame it as a bystander and to bring out that creativity and innovation, to do something, to challenge, to think outside the box. And that was really great to see. And so I really enjoyed it. And I really encouraged the group, the participants themselves, to see what they can do to continue this and to challenge themselves to continue to co-create and to produce together. But thank you so much for having us part of this. And I really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to further collaborations.
Likewise, I think Elsa, I, and many of the team members here just, love to collaborate. And I have to say, like, it seemed very obvious to have you and Jackie on board with our session, but I also have to say Marcus is quite responsible for that. So yeah, and also I think around bystander intervention, I think what was slightly different about this challenge was that the onus is not just on the survivor of the gender-based violence, but also that the onus is on society on making change. So I think that was sort of the goal with this particular challenge. Yeah, and yeah, I think there are a lot of thoughts around what happens next. So we're looking forward to seeing, I think, for starters, the work at Kalagoda. So fingers crossed, we can see that in some way, or it will be recorded for us out here in Brisbane. Thank you so much, Verena. Pratima, we We now move to you to hear your thoughts on the challenge and what do you think are the next steps?
I just want to congratulate the teams. I think they've just, the outcome's been so great, and I can't believe it's just been 10 days. And I've heard, amazing things about some of the workshops that you had leading up to this. And, I work on cities, so I think there's so many kind of soft kind of infrastructure needed to keep communities and public spaces safe. And this is such a crucial part of it, right? Like ensuring that the community, participates in keeping the community safe. And I think I loved some of these videos because they were really moving. And I think for me to see, this kind of visual messaging impacting the regular person on the ground to push them to intervene is such an important part of this. I'm looking forward to this being in Kala Ghoda and also on all your social media pages, because it's really civic education in a way. And some of them have, I want to congratulate all the participants because they did move the needle in communicating that to the general public. And I think, and I think Elsa was saying that they will publish a toolkit on, how to host this kind of workshops, which has such important, impactful outcomes. So I think that will be great. And congratulations to the teams and the organizations as well. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Pratima. And I completely agree, like all these videos can now be part of, and I don't want to put this onto Safe City, but the potential of it, now becoming like a social media campaign. And there's a lot of potential over here. And I think the videos that have come out of this challenge are actually the first round of videos, the first creators. And now so much more can happen because of that. And in the interest of civic education. Thank you so much once again, Pratima. I now invite our last jury member, that is Supreet, to share a few words, who also held a storytelling workshop for the participants of this challenge.
Thanks, Kavita. It's been an absolute pleasure, this whole process of the students coming in, applying for this, and then taking us through a journey of 10 days through our master classes, and then giving us something which is so impactful. So we keep on saying that the future is the youth, or the youth is the future. And to know that the youth of today is so self-aware, is so conscious, and so much in control of how they want to put their thoughts across. I think when we were their age, we were nowhere close to where they are today. So it gives me a great feeling that probably we are in good hands for the future. So thank you, all the teams. I think you've done a brilliant job. As a filmmaker, while I was seeing your videos and we were doing the scoring, I learned a lot, and I was trying to see things from the perspective of how today's youth looks at things. And trust me, I learned a lot while we were scoring for this. And going forward, I feel this is just the start to create what you created in 10 days to a week. It is amazing. It takes people years to reach where you have reached. So you must applaud yourselves. Everyone's a winner. Going forward, we'll work on your videos so that everything is showcased in Kala Ghoda. There's always scope for improvement. We all can learn. But yes, Kavita, like you said, we will use all these videos. We will make them a little bit more squeaky crisper, and we'll put them on social media so that everyone can learn from this. I think it's a great civic education, like Pratima mentioned, and this is just the start. So thank you once again, and I'll see you everyone on 14 on the last masterclass on how to make your videos much, much better. Thanks, Kavita.
Thank you so much, Supreet, and we're looking forward to those videos and where they go from here. I now hand over back to Elsa.
Thanks. Kavita, that was really informative for me too, and listening to the jury members and how they have been thinking about this challenge. And we already have some initial thoughts from the participants on how they have received all this information. So I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Michael Hunter. It has been the first time that I met Michael. Actually, I was invited to speak at the Media Art Biennale, which was co-hosted by QUT. That's where I heard Michael, and I really was impressed with his work. And I am so happy that we got a chance to collaborate. So over to you, Michael.
Thanks, Elsa. Thanks very much. So I'd like to take a bit of time now to, I guess, talk to some of the students and the participants of the challenge. Before I go into that, I kind of just wanted to echo a lot of the sentiments that have been, I guess, discussed today already. Firstly, obviously a huge thank you to Red Dot Foundation, or the jury, the QUT Design Lab, the Australian Consulate, basically everyone that's been a part of this. It's just, yeah, I mean, it's really impressive the way we kind of collaborated and come up with something in a reasonably short amount of time. And I'm really proud of everything that we've done. And I'd also like to, I guess, have an even bigger appreciation for all the students. I guess all the participants, just because it's just crazy in terms of completely remote collaboration in a COVID world. And these students, there was exams and everything else going on as well. And just having the willingness to engage in this kind of extracurricular activity about something that's so important is really inspiring. So I've just found the whole process extremely positive, and it's, yeah, it's made me really kind of proud and happy to be a part of. So yeah, I'd like to talk to some of the teams and try and kind of understand, I guess, their experiences of this challenge as well. So I might start with Team Bravehearts, or the single Braveheart, Ria, if you don't mind. Just might ask you a question or two.
Yes.
So I was wondering maybe if you could share some of your experiences from the challenge. Did you have any parts that you particularly enjoyed, or I know you were sick for a bit of it, so obviously you had some challenges yourself. So did you want to just talk about that a little bit?
Okay, I think I'll go ahead. So I remember that we had a whole canvas, like the first time that we started, it was a proper charter that we have to go ahead with. So that was something that I really liked, because the charter had core values. So the way they say that more than anything else, more than all the technical part that you do, it's very important to keep your core values to yourself, so that you know what you're going ahead with. So I think that was the best thing that I found. Also, the fact that we didn't, I mean, in my case, we didn't have team members that per se, but the other teams who were working, when I saw them, so all of them, right now, I think Sheila just mentioned that she was wondering how 5 people got together and they started working. So just to bring that 5 people together, this strategic part of it, just having proper team values so that they have some emotional attachment and they work better. That was something that I really liked. Other than that, in the master classes, we had the PPT thingy where we were in different breakout rooms. So we had a lot of interaction. And then there was Michael, there was Elsa, there were the other team members who were coming in, they were jumping in the discussions and they were giving advices. So that was something which also kept connected. So usually, I love participating in a lot of challenges. So the other challenges that I work on, what happens is that the challenge being long, there's a lot of disconnect that happens, until and unless there's someone pressing your button and, calling you up and telling you to work, you do not work. And that's just humane, because we have our exams, we have so many things going on. And at that point of time, having someone who is doing that so emotionally that you yourself want to work in. So that is something which is something that I carry back home, that in case I ever reach your age and if I have to organize something, I'll definitely use this technique. And I'm so glad that this was heard. That's just my thing. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ria. Yeah, I mean, most of that I would say goes to the Red Dot team in general, just as Kavita was saying, just their willingness to jump in the Discord and, make sure everyone's up to speed. And I think obviously it ended up being a really positive experience for everyone. And I guess
just an add-on, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. So it was so beautiful that now I, in fact, remember all the team members' names from Red Dot. Like I know Vaibhavi, Sonali, Sheila, and I talked to them, and it's just so beautiful. And Elsa. So it's just, of course, like, it's just so beautiful that more than anything else, we're keeping bonds forever. So thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's completely fine. Yeah, it's really, really great to hear. Cool. So we might jump over to Team Murphy now as well. I'm not sure who would like to speak. Maybe Kushagra, were you speaking before? Be
Kushagra
great if we could.
has an internet problem. I'll speak instead if that's all right.
Of course. Yeah, no worries. So I guess similar sorts of questions. It'd be great to hear maybe some of your experiences with the challenge and parts of it that you particularly liked or found a bit difficult, or just your experiences overall, if you don't mind.
Sure. So our solution, so well, before we say anything, special shout out to Kavita, because had we not met with her, our solution would have been entirely different. She was the one that pointed us in the right direction and said, okay, this is perhaps your solution and not what you're presenting to me. So yay, Kavita. And actually our entire solution came from that slide we did together, where we had to like just vomit 100 ideas, and one of those, we didn't do 100 ideas, obviously. We got maybe six ideas, and one of those ideas was our solution. And throughout the entire experience, we've had to, because of the time constraint and the kind of work we had to do, it's really thought heavy work, so you have to really think about what you're doing. And we had to meet so many times. We had to like X out so many ideas. We're like, no, this won't work, this won't work, this won't work. It was a lot of thinking and filtering and crossing out things, because even for the smallest of reasons. And we finally arrived at what we did, and it all taught us, I think, at least, okay, I'll speak for myself. It taught me that nothing that we see on the surface is actually as small as we think it is. It's a really thought through thing that is being presented to us. So the entirety of the Safe City program, I can't imagine how much thought went into the entire program, and RDF for that matter. The just the amount of brain power that's going into designing these challenges, holding them, and then taking them forward is ridiculous. I can't imagine. And we're very grateful for the opportunity to be able to think and work like this.
Thank you for I guess everything that you submitted and all the work you put in, especially during this crazy period. Again, special shout out to Kavita for the help there. I really loved all the Team Murphy stuff in the way that it did have that kind of concept across the 4 videos, and there was a real intervention piece about it.
Thanks to Kavita. Had she not interrupted,
no, I just want to add something. These were all your ideas. There was just like this thread that I saw. It wasn't me. You guys came up with the ideas, and I just connected some dots for you. That's it. But those were all your ideas. Yeah. It was great. Yeah, I loved it. I loved working with this Team Murphy, and engaging with them and seeing what they came up with so quickly. And I think there's something to be said about being able to change your mind really quickly, like not being stuck on something and holding on, and being able to improvise as quickly as possible. So yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah, definitely being agile, this can be really difficult, and especially during a challenge like this where the turnaround was so short. Cool. Thank you very much. I might get someone from Team Wins, if that's okay. Maybe Swapnil, if you're still around, if you want to jump in and we can kind of chat about your experiences during this challenge. If not Swapnil, maybe Kajal or Kanishka. Someone wanted to from Team Wings?
Yeah, sure, I can go ahead. Or Saloni, would you like to take the
No,
conversation?
so you can go ahead. It's okay.
Okay. So hi everyone, I'm so excited and I'm so happy. I remember like we were talking, me, Swapnil and Saloni, about the ideas. And when we had the office hour with Elsa, we didn't have any clue. We didn't even had an idea to make a reel, like what are we going to make a reel on, or what are our solutions. And Saloni just texted me after the conversation, like, what are we going to do? What ideas do we have? Or what are we, like, we have to submit it by Monday, and we just had only one day in our hand. So we just met on Zoom itself the very night, and we just had some conversation for around half an hour, and the ideas popped in. So it was all effort that we all three put in, and the ideas just came as we were talking with our own personal experiences of sexual harassment, or say bystander intervention, or any of the webinars that we attended. So that was that's where all the ideas came from. And I remember that we were still editing our reels even before 5 minutes before our submission. So that was something to like, I was panicking at that time, but Saloni and Swapnil really helped me out in that time of the day, and they were like, just frame an email and we'll put everything in. And I said, okay. And we submitted our videos on time, like legit 6 p.m. on Monday.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were excellent videos. They were so well put together. And again, I could just imagine how crazy it was during exams and everything else to turn them around that quickly. So it's really impressive, especially for Team Wings, but for everybody involved. Thanks so much for sharing your experiences, Kajal. Elsa, I might jump back to you, if that's all right.
Are there any team members from other teams who are here and want to share? Aishwarya, hi Aishwarya, would you like to share? Because you know, you were also a lone person in your team. So would you like to just share your experience? Okay, I think maybe she's unable to speak. Or maybe you have to unmute yourself. We don't know nowadays in this virtual world whether that's the case. Okay. So anybody else wants to say anything before we turn it over to Grace Ann to say a few words?
Hi, may I say something?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Hi. It was, first of all, I would say that the team effort that everyone put, which I see, was really great. And also when I came to learn more on how things spontaneously worked out, because sorry for the background noises here. I'm a little near the roadside. And also, I was pretty much happy how spontaneity worked. And more than that, within a very limited time, that how they created the teamwork, how they collated, and the mentoring especially, both of you have helped us very much. And
Okay, I think we lost Aishwarya. Okay, maybe she'll be back a little later. So with that, I think, you know, it's been such an interesting exercise. For me, particularly, I learned a lot and it was great collaborating. I mean, there was a sprint within the last 10 days, but we've been working since July on this challenge, and to see the results has been very, very encouraging. So thank you to everyone who made it possible. And I want to invite Grace Ann to say a few words on behalf of the Australian Consulate, because I look at this as the first step in a long line of collaborations. Over to you, Grace.
Thanks, Elsa. Thank you. And cannot agree with more enthusiasm. This was fantastic. What's really interesting is that this theme that is quite heavy and something that has either affected each one of us in some way, either directly or, you know, through those who we love, This has been a beautiful way to see that develop. And while the theme remains heavy, the way the participants have, sort of opened it up and expressed it has been encouraging, because the enthusiasm in each of their, in the feedback that Michael, you encouraged from the teams and from each one of the jury, it's just, it's very encouraging. And we've loved hearing the participants talk about the skills they've picked up, and that coupled, I think, with this like injection of enthusiasm. I keep repeating the word enthusiasm, but clearly that's like the theme of this entire series, where we are sure that we've like created an army of champions against GBV. And all of our participants, you have incredible agency. You have incredible agency as youth, and the design skills that you've got from your mentors will hold you in good stead, and the passion with which you'll take that forward. I think the world already looks like it's going to be a better place. So thank you from the Australian Consulate, and Alia and myself in particular. Thank you so much to the jury, to QUT, RDF, and every single one of the participants. We are absolutely delighted to have such committed partners. Thank you all.
Thank you, Grace Ann and Alia. And we also love working with you, and you giving your inputs, valuable inputs in the design of this design challenge was critical to its success. So if I may request, if everyone can switch on their videos for just a few seconds, we can take a screenshot and then we can end the program. Okay, I'm going to 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 3. Great. Thank you. And thank you to my team. You all have been incredible. And this wouldn't have been possible. I get all these crazy ideas and want to do all of it, but it wouldn't be possible without your support. So thank you, everyone, and look forward to collaborating again. This is a dream team. So thank you. Bye, and have a wonderful day and weekend ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. See you, everyone.